Coach Troy here from the Metro Lutheran Ministries Financial Opportunity Center. You're watching our series on improving your financial health. If you haven't done so yet, please be sure to check out our previous videos in this series. They're designed to be watched in order so that they can guide you to success as you work to improve your financial health. Today's video is on the difference between wants and needs in your financial life. Now, your belief about what constitutes each of these can be very influential in the status of your financial health. Now, most financial coaches would agree that needs are things that you need. They're basic. They're relatively few, and they're pretty easy to identify. You need shelter, someplace to keep you out of the elements. You probably also need food to keep you alive. You need clothing to protect you from the elements when you have to be outside. And you need medicine to help you stay well. And those four things are what you need. Everything above and beyond that is really and truly a want. Now, needs, however, sometimes get a little bit tricky. For example, is this a need or a want when we say shelter and we decide to go out and buy that house out in the suburbs with the two-car garage, the big backyard? That's shelter. But so is this little fixer-upper in Midtown. That's shelter. But so is an apartment that you could live in. That would be shelter. In fact, living in a tent underneath the overpass could be shelter. But so could buying a huge mansion out in the country. Those are all forms of shelter. Which ones would you consider to be a need? And which ones are a want? Interestingly, I know a client who lives in a tent under the overpass. That is a choice that he has made. His finances are in pretty good shape. He could live in probably 3 of the other 4, but he's determined to spend as little as possible on his shelter because he likes to travel, and that takes money. So the ideas of needs and wants alone won't help you. You see, breakfast is food. That's a need that we have every day. And some mornings I go by one of the local drive-thrus and I'll get a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich. And it costs me $4.29. And if I do that every day, that's a fair amount of money. But I could also buy Bob Evans packages in the grocery store that make the cost of that same sandwich about $1.47. I need food, but which one I want is going to influence how much I spend. You see, sometimes we elevate a want to a need because it's a convenience. Sometimes we do it as a reward for ourselves for accomplishing some other goal. And there's nothing wrong with those things if we're making conscious decisions and understanding the impact. And this is why it's very important to understand. Okay? Sometimes we can take a look at something like the Apple Watch to help understand this concept. Now, those who don't know what the Apple Watch is, it's a watch that connects to your phone, and it allows you to read text messages on your wrist and answer calls simply by raising your hand to your face. Now, is that a need? Well, for most every person on the planet, the answer is no. I mean, you can answer the actual phone. You can also view your text messages on the phone, and you wouldn't even need the watch, really, because your time shows up on the phone. But for some people, for the purposes of increasing their status or for the convenience of not having to fish around in their pocket to find their phone, they treat that want as if it were a need. Now, this is a no judgment zone. If they can afford to do that, that's perfectly fine. But understand, nobody needs the Apple Watch. Now, I have one. It's a want. I guarantee you. I want because I usually leave my phone somewhere it's inconvenient to get to. But it wouldn't be, strictly speaking, a need. Now, those examples can go on and on, but does that mean we have to forever choose the cheapest item or simply live a Spartan lifestyle without taking advantage of modern conveniences? Of course not. But we do need to be aware that we're making a choice regarding what we need and what we simply want. You see, we're being hit by $1 trillion industry every day. They're sending us messages that you need to have that copper skillet, or you need to have an air fryer convection oven. You need to buy this cool car, maybe buy that amazing pair of shoes. Celebrities like our own Patrick Mahomes put out advertisements for other groups. Why? Because they know if Patrick Mahomes tells you to go shop at a certain furniture store, you're likely to go shop at that furniture store. Social media influencers and others also promote products, and it has an undeniable impact. For example, in the Cola Wars, or the battle between Coca-Cola and Pepsi, Coca-Cola outspends Pepsi by quite a huge amount. Coca-Cola has gotten themselves into more restaurants so that you see Coca-Cola on the menu more often than you will Pepsi. And that's got to be because Coca-Cola is best, right? Well, if you do taste tests and show the label, if people know which one they're tasting, 57% of people prefer Coca-Cola. But if you do blind taste testings, if you don't let people see the label and you just ask them to taste this selection of colas that you have in front of you, 51% of people prefer Pepsi. So you see, the advertising money that's been spent on creating the brand of Coca-Cola or Pepsi has been won by Coca-Cola. They're convincing people to buy their product even though they prefer the taste of Pepsi. And that's something to think about. As you look at how you spend money, realize you've got an entire industry trying to influence you constantly. You need to look at your wants and your needs and start thinking about how much of your money is being spent on actual needs and how much of it on wants, even wants that are masquerading as needs. There's a balance that you'll need to find for yourself. Now, you and I could have the same amount of money and the same needs, and how we would budget our money and what we would be willing to spend money on could be very different. That's part of being an individual, right? But the key part here again is to make it a conscious choice. If you're going to spend for the more expensive shoes, the more expensive whatever, are you doing that consciously, or are you giving in to somebody else saying, oh, well, all the cool kids have this? If you'd like to work with a financial coach from Metro Lutheran Ministry, all you have to do is contact us, and our information is on the screen. We can set up appointments either in person or virtually. We can even complete most of the paperwork virtually and meet with you virtually if you need to. It only requires that you are ready to decide to do the hard work of getting your financial health to improve. Our next video in this series will focus on understanding budgets, large budgets and small budgets. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.